This is my 1971 MG Midget. I bought it about a year ago from the first ever owner who bought it new in 1971. It's a great little example. It's nothing special, it's not concours, but it's pretty original, it drives fantastically, and it's a whole heap of fun. But my experience with MGs over the years has not been so great. So in this video, I'm going to take you all through the history to where we've got to today. So if you're new to the channel, thanks for stopping by. I really hope you enjoy it. And if you like this kind of content with my own cars, this gorgeous little MG Midget, a Mercedes-Benz CL500 from 2011, and a fantastic Maserati Gran Turismo, it'd be great to have you as a subscriber. So my history with MGs goes back to 1985, when I was in my final year at school. I just passed my test, and my parents had a friend who was a car dealer who'd just got in this 1979 MG Midget in white. It was a rubber bumpered version. It was absolutely fantastic, and they said would I be interested in exploring it over a weekend, having it for a bit of a test drive and seeing what I thought. So absolutely took the car for a weekend and fell in love with the MG Midget. And that started the love affair with these cars that continues to this very day. But even that first car had some problems. The ride was slightly uneven, and when you went over a bump, the steering jerked to one side. And it turned out that there were some mechanical problems with the front suspension. The kingpins needed re-greasing or something. It's quite a common problem on these. So it was going to cost a bit of money. So my parents started to back away from this deal a bit. And the thing that kind of finished it for me was that I was driving with the dealer in the passenger seat, and neither he nor I knew anything about these cars really. And he said, why don't we just open the top? And so we just flipped open the top, not knowing that we had to undo all the studs, undo poppers and everything else. And it put a tear in the soft top. And that kind of made me so unhappy, so upset. And in the end, my parents said, look, we're not going to buy this. It's too much of a risk with the possible maintenance that needed to be done. But in that weekend, I'd fallen in love with MGs, and I knew they were going to be part of my life. So the next year, actually 1986, I went down to Portsmouth. I was studying down there, and I was living with a landlady who drove a beautiful white MGB GT. So the love for MGs was immediately rekindled again the year later. And so I spent time in this car, admiring it while I was down in Portsmouth. But it wasn't until I'd finished university in 1990 that I really became able or in a position to buy one for myself. So when I got out of university, I'd got a job. I was just about to start, and the first thing I did was look to buy an MG. Now, when I'd been down in Portsmouth, I had seen a dealer down there. I'd always looked in the window. He always had a great range of MGs. It was called Alexandra Motors, I think. And the first thing I did was to get a loan for £5,000, which was quite a lot of money in those days. Go down to Alexandra Motors, where they had this beautiful MGB GT. It was a 1977 model with rubber bumpers in vermilion, and plonked down my money without any thought of a pre-purchase inspection and just drove it off. And for the first few weeks and months, I thoroughly enjoyed that car. I loved the sound it made. It had a stainless steel exhaust. I remember there was a tunnel that we used to drive through, very narrow railway, under a railway with traffic lights at either end. It was very narrow. I used to accelerate through there every single day because it made such a fantastic sound. I loved the attention it got, the good attention. People loved it. In fact, I got my first girlfriend in that car, so had some good things. But it wasn't long until things started to go very, very wrong. I'd driven it for a few weeks, and I'd driven over to a friend's house, and it had been parked outside overnight. And when I came back to it in the morning, the footwells in the front were completely full of water. It had been raining and the water had literally just dripped through somewhere into the footwells. They were inch or so deep in water. Clearly a major problem there. Carpets were soaked. But anyway, I didn't think any more about it at that time. I just carried on driving it. So I continued to enjoy that car very much in the first few months. But after Christmas in early 1991, I started to notice bubbling of the paintwork around the rear arches and the sills. It was not looking good at that point. Paintwork was bubbling. So I took the car to a body shop. They looked at it and you could see the look in their faces. So they got a little hammer and they started chipping away at the wheel arches and the sills. And it was pure filler. There was no metal there at all. It had been bodged. It had been resprayed, filled and resprayed to make it look nice from the outside, but it was an absolute bodge job, an absolute scam. The guys, as I say, they were sorry for me more than anything else. In the end, they just lifted up the sill and just pulled it up with their hands. And I don't know what I did to not have tears streaming down my face. I had just spent £5,000 on this car and it was an absolute disaster. The guy said, look, this is a disaster. You're gonna have to get this completely rebuilt. If you're gonna do it, it's not worth the money. We will give you £1,500 scrap value for the car and you can walk away. And my dad said, nothing else to do. So £3,500 lost in a matter of 6 months. That was my first proper MG experience, and yet I'm still addicted to them. That says something about what MGs are like. Anyway, for the next few years, I kind of licked my wounds and borrowed cars from people. I had a Volkswagen Polo that I drove around, which was fine, but unexciting, and very competent, but not very exciting. And I think it got to about 1995, and I was more into the MG community. I had a garage guy who was able to find one for me. He found me this really nice rubber bumpered MGB Roadster. Again, it was in white, which was nice. It was a later model with rubber bumpers. I still couldn't afford the chrome bumper version. And that was a much more solid car. And I really thoroughly enjoyed driving that for, you know, at least a year, 18 months. It had some issues which are common with these cars. It had issues with the electrics. I remember driving across the Yorkshire moors in torrential rain, and then when I discovered how bad the electrics were, I couldn't believe that I'd actually made it across the Yorkshire moors. I could have got stranded and had to be rescued by mountain rescue. Ridiculous. Anyway, apart from the electrics, had an ongoing problem with the differential making a noise. So I don't know what was wrong with it. I had several reconditioned differentials swapped out. It always made a grinding noise on the overrun. We changed the prop shaft, we changed the differential, we changed so much on that car multiple times and could never get it not to make that noise. And you know, I ended up selling it, but I enjoyed it and rekindled the love for MGs. So between 1996 and 2021, I didn't have another MG. Practicalities made sure that wasn't a possibility, family life and kids and everything else. But then in the middle of 2021, I found this beautiful car on car sales. It was being sold by the first owner who had bought it new in 1971. It was a very genuine looking car. It wasn't concours, it wasn't anything particularly special, but it was in really good, solid mechanical condition. The paintwork is pretty good. It's okay. It's a driver. It's a daily driver. You can have fun with it without kind of worrying about the value decreasing or depreciating. You can just thoroughly enjoy it. I decided to go back to a Midget because they're a little bit more fun, they're lighter, they're nippier, they're a bit more like a go-kart, whereas the Bs are much larger, more comfortable, more Grand Tourer style, whereas the Midget is just a little bundle of fun, and I absolutely love this car. And it gives me so much enjoyment just to get out in this car, don't have to go anywhere, just drive around and just have fun. It's a fantastic little car, and this will stay with me for a long, long time. MGs are one of those cars that really gets under your skin. There's no escaping from it. Once you've got the bug, you've got the bug. I'm British by birth, and so I feel an affinity with this British brand as well, and so I'm absolutely loving this car. I encourage you to check out my videos up here of the purchase and collection of this car. It's a lot of fun. It was so much fun, and of course it broke down on the way home, but we got home in the end. So thanks very much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. It's really just a video to share my history with these quirky little British sports cars and the amount of pleasure and pain that they can cause. But when you get a good one like this, it's absolutely fantastic. Let me know in the comments if you've owned an MG, your experiences with them. I always love to hear your comments, try and read all of them, and let me know what your experiences have been with MGs, either in the past or the present day. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy it, don't forget to smash that like. It'd be great to have you as a subscriber, and hit that notification bell. You can follow me on Instagram down here. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye for now.